Hey, speaking of pigskin, Donald Trump, in his ongoing effort to distract us from the fact that he doesn't want Melania to see the Epstein files, went after Rosie O'Donnell again. He's been threatening to revoke Rosie O'Donnell's American citizenship, which, like peeing standing up, he cannot do.
He's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country.
Jimmy Kimmel teaming up with Robert De Niro to tear into Donald Trump is like a comedian and a legendary actor walking into a circus, spotting the clown and dismantling the entire act. Their laughter isn't cheap, it's sharp and deliberate, cutting straight through the inflated ego that props up his presidency. Kimmel brings the playful sting, De Niro adds the seasoned scorn, and together they deliver a masterclass in roasting, exposing a leader who confuses theatrics for authority and chaos for strength.
Speaking of security, President Trump spoiled the U.S. Open yesterday. Hundreds of fans missed the start of the final because Fartina Navratilova decided to come to the match to wave at people. It caused long lines at the security checkpoint. He was roundly booed by the crowd. You know how much of a jerk you have to be to get booed by a tennis crowd?
Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron. But he's a scary one. And in all seriousness, and we know it here, people have to get out and vote and vote and vote and vote.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Kimmel dives right in, mocking Trump's obsession with validation and showing how every move he makes seems less about policy and more about applause. It's as if Trump treats the White House like his own green room, waiting for someone to cue the laugh track after every mistake. He can't pass a mirror without picturing it cheering for him, and Kimmel turns that vanity into the punchline of every joke. Nothing hits harder than roasting a man desperate for admiration who ends up getting memes instead.
I'd like to remind you, this is a post from the President of the United States. He wrote, as previously mentioned, we are giving serious thought to taking away Rosie's citizenship. She is not a great American and is, in my opinion, incapable of being so. Here's the thing, whenever he's spitting out, he goes back to Rosie. That's his safe space. He zeroes out. Calling her fat is what makes him comfortable. Meanwhile, she's...
Then comes De Niro, whose disdain doesn't need setups or clever punchlines. It's raw, blunt, and shaped by a lifetime of watching men like Trump swagger without substance. He cuts through the act like a seasoned chef slicing a cheap steak. To De Niro, Trump isn't just embarrassing, he's exhausting. The political equivalent of a bad sequel that somehow keeps getting renewed. The way he frames Trump's blunders, they sound less like leadership and more like chaotic improv performed by someone who forgot the script but still insists the spotlight stay on them.
I'm angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote for it.
Together, they spotlight the sheer absurdity of Trump's presidential performances. From self-congratulatory rallies where facts are optional to rambling press conferences that sound like open mic night for conspiracy theories, nothing escapes their ridicule. Kimmel jokes that Trump's speeches wander like a talkative relative who won't stop at Thanksgiving dinner, while De Niro compares him to a method actor stuck in the role of a loud billionaire who never figured out how to step out of character.
This photo he posted looks really more like him than hers. Rosie O'Donnell. How can someone so old be so childish? It's Benjamin can't button his pants. You know, we talk about how much time Trump wastes playing golf. He seems to be spending a lot more time posting dumb AI videos lately. Our governor, Gavin Newsom, has been roasting him online, and so now Trump is doubling up.
The comedy hits even harder because every joke is grounded in truth. When Niro mocks Trump's constant need to call himself the best at everything, it mirrors the insecurity of a man terrified that history will see him as second-rate. Niro drives the point home by reminding everyone that real power doesn't need to boast, it proves itself. Trump, on the other hand, is like a magician insisting he's pulled a rabbit out of a hat when the hat is empty and the rabbit ran off years ago.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable. And this isn't just an American problem, it's a global one. Unlike a film, we can't just sit back and watch. We have to act.
What makes this takedown so devastating is the contrast in styles. Kimmel's mockery is light and laced with irony, while Niro's disdain erupts like a volcano, born from genuine frustration. Together, they cover the full spectrum of ridicule from playful teasing to scathing contempt. Trump, already unsettled by late-night jokes and celebrity criticism, ends up cornered not by scandal or policy failure, but by laughter. And nothing threatens his carefully crafted image more than being reduced to a recurring punchline. Kimmel and Niro make sure he stays stuck in that role. Kimmel goes after Trump's obsession with ratings, comparing his fixation on crowd sizes and TV numbers to a washed-up sitcom star who refuses to believe the show's been canceled. Niro piles on, mocking Trump's habit of inflating every statistic until it bursts like an overstuffed balloon. This isn't leadership, they suggest it's marketing gone wrong. A man selling himself as the greatest product in history, only for the audience to realize it's all cheap packaging. Then there's the money trail, an endless source of comedic gold. Kimmel gleefully exposes Trump's shaky financial record, reminding everyone that the self-proclaimed business genius has left behind more bankruptcies than successful ventures. Niro, with his signature glare, drives the point home. Only in Trump's America could failure be rebranded as brilliance. Every failed casino, every lawsuit, every desperate attempt to polish a crumbling empire becomes fodder for their ridicule, stripping away the golden facade to reveal the hollow reality underneath.
I am totally dumbfounded, baffled by that. I can't understand it. And it's a thing that we've seen over decades and decades. And he's a what's it? Tammy Faye and the other one.
Yes.
Same thing. Give us your money. We're gonna save you. Yeah, televangelist.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing, and it's so obvious. I just don't understand. People could buy it. I just don't know. It's all an act in a certain way. It's all out of insecurity. He's deeply, deeply insecure. He is a malignant narcissist. He's a socio-psychopath.
The roast doesn't stop at Trump's finances, it digs into the entire culture he's built around himself. Kimmel tears into his obsession with loyalty, painting a picture of a president who demands sycophancy the way a magician demands applause, terrified that silence will expose the trick. Niro adds weight to the critique, calling it the behavior of a weak man who confuses fear with respect. Together, they dismantle the myth that commanding loyalty is a sign of strength, making it clear that real leaders earn devotion, they don't bully it into existence. Crisis management becomes another goldmine. Kimmel mocks Trump's chaotic responses, pointing out how every disaster turns into a self-promotion opportunity instead of a plan to solve the problem. Niro brings the gravity, framing those failures as not just embarrassing, but dangerous for presidency, treating national emergencies like improv skits while the audience prays for someone competent to step on stage. The message is clear. The punchline isn't just Trump's behavior, it's the real-world damage that follows. Foreign policy is another playground for their jokes. Kimmel portrays Trump's diplomacy as more like schoolyard drama, with allies treated like frenemies and adversaries like reality show co-stars. Niro, weary from decades of watching hustlers bluff their way into power, makes it clear that global leaders aren't impressed by theatrics. They're watching the erosion of American credibility with a mix of disbelief and grim amusement.
Hockey fans will boo a baby wearing the wrong jersey. Tennis fans, if they're booing, you deserve it. Trump sat in the Rolex booth. Anything with a crown is like catnip to him. He can't resist. And once again, all eyes were on his hands. Trump's right hand is again plastered with some kind of putty. Between his face, his neck, and his hand, his skin has more colors than a Sherwin-Williams store right now. Let's look at that hand because it's
Kimmel goes after Trump's contradictions too, mocking how he changes positions faster than a bad actor fumbling for his lines. Niro reinforces the point, calling the entire performance shallow, a presidency more focused on appearances than actual results. It's not just incompetence. It's the comedy of inconsistency, the absurdity of a man who promises everything and delivers nothing but chaos. Even Trump's family doesn't escape their roast. Kimmel jokes that the White House under Trump looked less like a government and more like a reality show spin-off, where every relative gets a cameo. Niro, never one to pull punches, compares the whole operation to a mob family without the competence, everyone scrambling for power, yet no one actually knowing what they're doing. The brilliance of their tag team takedown lies in how it exposes the fragile core beneath all the bluster. Trump presents himself as unshakable, invincible, larger than life. But every joke lands on the same truth. He's riddled with insecurity, constantly chasing respect that slips further away the harder he demands it. Kimmel and Niro don't just mock the persona, they strip it down, leaving the hollow man behind.
It's so frightening and scary, and he's dangerous. We got to get rid of him.
do you ever...
And shame on those Republicans that don't have the nerve, the balls to go after him. What do they tell their kids? What do they tell their grandkids later when it's written in history books what their role is and what they did, and they allowed him to do this. He's an outright criminal.
And while the comedy is relentless, there's a deeper message behind it. The laughter is a reminder that power doesn't shield anyone from ridicule. No matter how much control you claim or how much admiration you demand, you can't escape becoming the punchline when your actions are this absurd. Kimmel and Niro wield that truth like a weapon, showing that Trump's legacy won't be defined by policy, but by punchlines. At this point, it's less a roast and more an autopsy of ego. Kimmel has turned Trump into late night's favorite pea-potter, while Niro delivers the eulogy for his credibility. Together, they ensure that history remembers Trump not just as controversial or divisive, but as unintentionally hilarious, a man who set out to be the protagonist of American greatness, but ended up as comedy's favorite extra. The sting of their takedown lies in how little effort it takes to reveal him. They don't need elaborate setups or fabricated scandals. They just point to the spectacle he creates every day and let the audience connect the dots. In the end, the buffoonery drowns out the bravado, and that's where the humor gets its bite. It isn't exaggeration, it's observation wrapped in wit, exposing the ridiculousness of a leader desperate to be larger than life but constantly tripping over his own shadow.
One tenacious photographer got a photo where he appears to be chewing on either a mint or possibly maybe a certain little blue pill. I don't know which. All I know is after he swallowed it, Melania changed seats. So. On Saturday, Francis Ford Coppola posted this AI-generated image of himself to celebrate his invasion of Chicago. Someone made this and called it Chipocalypse Now with the caption, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning." This is normal, right? Both sides do this. You remember when Obama declared war?
Kimmel thrives on exposing Trump's contradictions. He points out how the president can declare himself a pillar of strength while melting down over the smallest jokes at his expense. It's the irony of a man desperate to appear unshakable, yet reacting to satire with the fragility of a porcelain figurine. De Niro amplifies this by portraying Trump as someone who's never grown past the schoolyard, still craving the validation of being picked first for the team. The laughter isn't just directed at Trump, it's aimed at the theater of insecurity he performs for the entire world. What makes this roast so enduring is how it turns Trump's supposed strengths into glaring weaknesses. His swaggering confidence becomes comic arrogance. His unfiltered speaking style turns into a parody of leadership, and his obsession with ratings becomes the punchline of irrelevance. Kimmel twists the image of a man desperate to be seen as commanding into that of a stage actor screaming for applause while the audience walks out. De Niro gives it a darker edge, describing the emptiness of a presidency defined not by results, but by relentless performance. Their ridicule cuts deepest when they link his antics to real consequences. Kimmel highlights how Trump's obsession with image pulls focus away from actual governance, transforming serious moments into shallow spectacles. It's not just mockery, it's a mirror held up to the chaos, revealing how the showman's act leaves the stage more damaged than dazzled.
I hate bullies, thugs who use their strength to push other people around. They think they can achieve power and hang on to it by intimidating others. Sadly, sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't. And now we have Trump. He's all that, about intimidation, retribution. He's going to prosecute. He's going to send you to jail for having an abortion. He's going to take your Medicare and Social Security away. He's going to deport you. He's going to send the military after you if you defy him. You know what this shit works on? The MAGA politicians who are afraid of losing their power. They're so afraid of him, he's got them kissing his ass. And now they're trying to intimidate us. We will not allow that. Not even for a minute.
De Niro takes it further, emphasizing how credibility crumbles when theatrics replace substance. The jokes sting because they remind the audience that behind every ridiculous sound bite lies a sobering truth. A nation forced to endure a leader more focused on applause than accountability. The duo also dismantles Trump's relentless self-mythologizing, showing how it collapses under scrutiny. Kimmel paints him as the unreliable narrator of his own story, constantly rewriting history to match whatever narrative flatters him most. De Niro adds weight to the critique, pointing out that his constant need to inflate achievements doesn't show strength, that exposes desperation. It's the comedy of a man revising his biography in real time, only for the revisions to contradict themselves before the ink is even dry. What remains is the sheer scale of the farce. Kimmel turns Trump's antics into material that practically writes itself, likening him to a reality show contestant who stumbled into politics but never learned the rules. De Niro, more outraged than amused, argues that history will view this presidency as a cautionary tale disguised as slapstick. Together, they drive home a sobering truth: the White House was never meant to be a stage. Yet under Trump, it became the longest-running comedy of errors in modern political memory.
For a guy who dodged the draft, he sure does love fake pictures of himself in battle gear. He's a real AI Joe when it comes to the internet. By the way, if Trump was actually a character from the movie Apocalypse Now, it wouldn't be Robert Duvall. It would be late-life Marlon Brando. Trump is now, after Chicago, he has declared Chicago to be the world's most dangerous city. That, of course, is based on statistics gathered by the worm inside RFK Jr.
Even in their mockery, there's a sense of disbelief. Kimmel captures the absurdity of watching someone so desperate for validation that he turns governing into a non-stop string of campaign rallies. De Niro channels the frustration of seeing the presidency reduced to nothing more than a platform for self-promotion. The laughter comes not just because Trump is ridiculous, but because reality has become too absurd to process without humor. Comedy becomes a form of survival, the only sane reaction to chaos wrapped in a red tie. Every jab hits its mark because the performance never ends. Even when Trump tries to project seriousness, it collapses into parody. Kimmel turns those failed attempts into comedic gold, showing how each moment meant to inspire respect instead becomes an accidental punchline. De Niro sharpens the critique by exposing how this constant hunger for attention erodes both dignity and effectiveness. It's a presidency that reads like satire but unfolds as tragedy, leaving comedians with no choice but to laugh as a form of resistance. When power becomes a laughingstock, its grip loosens. In that way, comedy doesn't just mock Trump, it dismantles him. By the end of the roast, the audience isn't just entertained, they're enlightened. They've seen past the spectacle and recognized the fragility beneath it. Kimmel delivers the humor that makes the truth easier to swallow, while Niro adds the weight that ensures it lingers. Together, they transform Trump from a man demanding reverence into a cautionary tale best remembered with a smirk. The punchlines echo louder than any policy ever could, cementing his legacy not as the architect of greatness, but as comedy's most reliable character study.